Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson says there is no specific credible intelligence of any plots against the United States like those carried out in Brussels. But as a precaution, the agency is increasing surveillance at major U.S. airports and rail and transit stations. One of the major cities bolstering security is New York. Michelle Miller has more from Times Square.
Just before rush hour this morning, New York City deployed an army of counterterrorism officers from 3 elite units, including its Hercules team, specially trained to protect the city's most sensitive targets and transportation hubs. New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton.
The timing of this event allowed us to hold over the morning tours of duty on all of those units, so we were able to literally double the amount of officers available to us this morning.
Thousands of commuters filed past heavily armed officers and were stopped to have their bags searched.
It's comforting, very grateful to all of them.
In Los Angeles, police presence was beefed up at Union Station, the largest rail terminal on the West Coast. Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck.
We want to have a high visibility. We want to make sure that our critical infrastructure is safe.
In Chicago, police had canine units on the platform as trains arrived. And in Washington, D.C., the Metro Police Chief consulted with the FBI this morning to make sure her officers were doing all they could to protect passengers. Mary Battle and her family, visiting from Florida, witnessed the show of force in Times Square.
I'm hoping that with the extra security here that this is going to be one of the safest days.
Now, Elaine, while there is a constant armed presence here in Times Square, the NYPD announced today that it is amping up its patrols, which its sole presence or sole focus is to really patrol the city's busy underground subway system.
Michelle, we heard one person you spoke with say that they felt safer seeing the increased police presence. But have you seen fewer people out at the tourist attractions, fewer people taking the subway?
You know, I'm not out in Times Square every night, but there is a pretty hefty crowd here. There are a number of people still walking, you know, through this area. And then you talk to commuters who take this trek in and out of the city every day. And certainly in the back of their minds, this is always a big question, whether or not, or when, if, how soon, how long before something that like what happened in Brussels might happen here, but it's something that does not stop them, one, from coming into work, from carrying on their lives, and they say that's the key, making sure that they carry on in a fashion that doesn't halt their routine.
Absolutely. Well, Michelle, has the NYPD or if any other police departments given any kind of time frame for how long they plan to keep up the stepped-up security?
Well, what's so interesting about the NYPD is their counterterrorism task force is well integrated into its entire police force. They have several units devoted to counterterrorism, both in the intelligence realm as well as their strategic force. And there are many units whose purpose it is very singular to fight terrorism from a very strategic vantage point. And anytime you see what is happening with Commissioner Bratton making an announcement like the one he did today where he's tweaking the subway surveillance, you get the sense that it's an ever-evolving process, certainly here in New York City. And I'm sure in places like Washington, D.C. and in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, when you talk to these police agencies, it is an evolutionary process. Counterterrorism is part of the force from here on out, and they're highly secretive too, and sometimes how they plan and strategize from one point to the other and then on a daily basis.
Absolutely. All right, Michelle Miller, thank you so much.